Hey everyone, welcome to Clausematch's product demo webinar. My name is Amanda Brief. I'm our US Marketing Director here, and I'm going to be behind the scenes as your moderator for today. Before we get started, I just wanted to quickly run through the timeline. So the demo itself will be approximately 20 minutes long. And throughout that conversation, if you have any questions as Jared is running through the demo, you can put them in the Q&A box. Additionally, if you have any questions, if there are any audio issues or any other concerns, you can put them in the chat box and we'll address them. With that, I wanted to hand it off to my colleague, Jared Penn. He is going to be running today's demo webinar. And for those who don't know him, he is our North American Sales Director here at Clausematch. Over the last decade, he's helped organizations across different sizes enhance their profitability. And then in his free time, Jared enjoys spending time around the Charlotte, North Carolina area with his wife and his beagle buddy. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jared to kick off today's webinar.
Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate that introduction. For today's webinar, this is going to be an introduction to Clausematch. In Clausematch, we have two modules. Today, we're going to be focusing on module number 1, the policy management module. The policy management module contains everything up until the publication of a policy. So this is where you, as a policy owner, would spend much of your time. We also have a policy portal. That's the post-publication of a policy. That is going to be the single source of truth for everyone else in your organization for published policies. It also provides a great way to track attestations and has a lot of reporting capabilities. But again, today we want to focus on the policy management module. And with that said, I'm going to share my screen and we will get right into that policy management module. So what you're looking at right now is the home screen for the policy management module. And I think it would be great to start with a few housekeeping items of what you're seeing. And, one of the first questions, I always get is, Jared, we have a ton of policies, trying to find what I'm looking for isn't always easy. If I'm just looking for a particular title and maybe I don't know the title, how do I find a particular policy I'm looking for if I don't know the exact wording of the title? Well, we made it easy for you in the search capability here. Where you can do it by phrases or by keywords. We also added additional filters such as tagging and many others that you can do in the dropdown, whether it's a committee approval, a control type, a multitude of options to filter down a search for the exact document you're looking for. So for the documents themselves, they can be uploaded from docx or you can create one from scratch. Everything in Clausematch is done from a templated approach that provides the governance for what you're doing. As you see here, we have a number of sample templates. What the templates will give you is the same metadata, the same workflows associated with it, as well as the same look and feel. And when we dive into the document itself, I'll show you exactly what that means and what that looks like. Lastly, I want to highlight down here in the lower left our categories and documents that you see can be searched and filtered by document type, risk taxonomy, and functional hierarchy. And you may think, okay, well, folder storage is a big deal, but this is the kind of organization that would make Marie Kondo jealous, down to type, taxonomy, and hierarchy for storing your documents. So let's dive into a document itself. We'll pull up an anti-money laundering policy. So for the policy itself, I think it's important to see the settings and exactly what organization is structured around this particular document. As you see here, and I mentioned before, everything's done from a templated approach in Clausematch. This particular policy is drafted from a standard policy template. You see various document tags associated with it. It makes it easy to search for this document. As you see, AML tag associated with this policy. Permissions. Permissions is very important. It's a common question, Jared, in my organization, can I, segregate who has access to a particular document, who can, edit a document? Not only do we allow this, at the individual level, in terms of roles and responsibilities, this can also be done at the group level as well, for each particular policy. Metadata, very important. This is the subdata for each document. Probably most important and most valuable, from the feedback I received from our customers, is the next review date. And this works really well with our reporting capabilities, which we'll touch on a little bit later, but that you will have that next review date tied to each document so it's not missed during a review cycle. Stages, very valuable. So this is the workflow that's put in to something like a policy review cycle. And what we've seen from those who have adopted Clausematch is they can shave about 30% off the time of the old way they were doing a policy review. So if you think of you have your Word docs, you're emailing back and forth, you're hoping that the person who's responsible for commenting or approving a particular stage gets to the email, you're hoping you're still working off the right version of the document. It's a very inefficient way to run a policy review cycle. So in Clausematch, this is all automated. You have stages with dates associated with it. You can make it a mandatory stage. You can allow ability to edit a document, as you see here in the committee approval level. Yeah, it says a mandatory stage. Yes, there's a deadline, but no, they will not have the ability to edit a document up until the release date of this particular policy. And again, just to cycle back to what I had mentioned about templates, this is something you can set up, in your template. So every policy, drafted from the template would have these stages associated with it. So that's, kind of the most important, background on the document settings and how these documents are structured. I want to go to the document itself. As you can see up here, we have a proprietary word editor. It's very similar to what, you're probably used to with the Google Docs or Microsoft Word. We wanted it to be user-friendly, and this certainly is. For the document itself, you can see that everything within Clausematch essentially resides as structured data, and this can be at the document level, as you see here on the right, a timeline of changes to the document, or even down to the paragraph level. So this is really important. Auditors love this. Anytime you need to prove out any changes to a document, it's very easy to show through our running timeline of activity, again, not only at the document level, but at the paragraph level. The other thing that Clausematch provides is great collaborative capabilities in here. So for this particular paragraph, if I'd like a colleague's input, I can do @Pedro, please review and approve. So if I'd send this out, Pedro would get a notification not only in Clausematch, but in email as well, notifying him to the request that I had just made on this particular policy, or on this particular paragraph within the policy. So again, great collaborative capabilities. This is your running audit trail. If I actually move back off the paragraph. One highlight as well, version control. You can see a easy drop down of your versions. You can see your redlining. Also easy to export under the audit tab here. You can do it by a report or a redline.x, or just a rundown of your version history as well. So very easy to produce as well here in an exam or an audit. I'm going to move on to data connections. So this is something that we get a lot of great feedback from. And I had mentioned before that, in Clausematch, everything does sit as that structured data. And what that allows you to do is draw connections between regulations, your policies, your procedures, and controls. So as you'll see in this document here, we have a number of connections that were made, a number of changes that can either be kept or removed on this document. You'll see here we have connections with controls. We have connections with regulations. Here we have the money laundering and terrorist financing and transfer of funds regulation of 2017 tied directly to this document down to the paragraph level. So we see a couple changed suggestions here, or changed connections rather, document to document. So in a practical application for this would be, well, since it's been 5 years since this regulation has put out, let's just assume that there's been updates to it. The regulation has changed. You learn this. First question is, okay, how can we update and adapt what's in our environment to changes in the regulation? This is an easy way to do it, document to document. And I'll tell you what, there's an even better way in terms of an overview. If you learn of a change to a regulation, what does it mean for what's in your environment? I want to take you to the compliance tab right here, where you can show a cascading view between regulations, policies affected by that, and the procedures. So we'll go to that same money laundering, terrorist financing, and transfer of funds regulation of 2017. Click that. Okay, we have a filtered down list of policies that would be affected by it. Maybe we'll take a look at the AML policy. Okay, here now we know of a procedure that needs to be updated as well and reviewed. That's our client onboarding procedure. The great thing about our compliance tab in this cascading view is it's highly customizable. As you see here, you can filter down by your different document types, taxonomies, hierarchies that we showed in the home screen there, by document state, by tags, or by document type. So a high level of customability to this cascading view in our compliance tab. So I had mentioned reports. I want to move on to the reports right now. And the great thing about reports, and the feedback we get of it being very valuable, is review dates that are approaching for a particular policy, as well as review dates that may be overdue for a policy. You can break it down by table view or chart view, by document type, by document owner, or by jurisdiction. If you have a global operation, you want to see that broken down by different geographic entities. Easy way to do it here. Let's see in the UK what we need. Okay, yeah, we have a number of corresponding documents here that are overdue that we will need to address. So with that said, I know this was a high level overview, but I'm happy to stop now and answer any questions that may have come up in the chat.
Great. Thank you, Jared. And for those attending right now, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box. Our first question is around regulations. How does Clausematch, or does Clausematch provide regulations?
Great question. So Clausematch has partnered with a set RegTech to provide that feed of regulations into Clausematch, so that's considered horizon scanning functionality. And we have partnered with a firm that does that, and you will be able to pull that into Clausematch.
Great. My second question is around pricing. So can you explain how pricing within Clausematch works?
Absolutely. So Clausematch is software as a service, and I'll highlight here. Yep, here's the URL. You log in through your web browser. It's a subscription service, and it's really priced out by tiers, 3 tiers: power users, light users, and read-only users. So your power users are those that would have admin capabilities. They're your policy owners. They're those actively making changes and updates to documents. So light users, those would be reviewers. They'd be making suggestions, perhaps during a particular stage in a policy review cycle. And lastly would be your read-only users. So that's everyone else in your organization. they would be accessing the policy portal. And that would encompass our three tiers of users within Clausematch.
Perfect. Doesn't look like we have any other questions, but if anything else comes up for those who are attending, feel free to reach out to us at evolve@clausematch.com. So with that, I want to thank you, Jared, for running through this demo, and thank you everyone who attended. We will be sending out an email with a link to the recording after this, so feel free to share it with any of your colleagues or anyone else who may be interested. So with that, I want to thank you guys all again, and have a great day, everyone.